Finally, the first Nata exams have begun. It's been completed. Both the sessions of this Nata 1 has been completed. The first session was today morning from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and the second session was from 2:30 to 5:30. So both of that has been completed. And to discuss about those exams, we have students who've already written these exams. So let me take this opportunity to welcome all three of you. Hello, Dhanush, Vaishnavi, and Nupra. Welcome to the session. So we would be taking through slowly some of the topics that were asked, the different kinds of questions that were being asked. To everyone who's joined live, we would love to know your opinion also. So please do let us know in the live chat box. Do make use of the best of the live chat box, and also do let us know your opinion or any particular observations that you felt is worth sharing. Okay. Hello everyone. This is Suraj over at THiNC Institute of Design, and this is first NATA's board sessions student reaction that we're going to begin with. So to start off with, I think we'd start with Nupra. She's the one who's written the first session. That's the morning session. So Nupra, how was it compared to what you were expecting? How was it? Can you take us through?
Sir, since I've been studying in the THiNC Institute for last 18 days, I'm a crash course batch. So I've done a lot of mock tests and all. So as I was expecting, it was kind of easy. The exam was kind of easy though. There were questions which was related to mock test conducted by the institute. The questions were easy. It was easy. I could do each and every questions. Then there were questions related to arithmetic section. I had to take a little bit extra time, but still I could get the answers and do the question. So it was as expected. It was really easy though. Exam was easy.
So, okay.
Then there were questions mostly the questions were related to MSQ questions. They asked us about the principle of composition questions. In that questions they asked they shown a picture of a building, like a part of a building or a room or a painting, and then we had to choose the appropriate principles used in there. It was pretty confusing, but still I could answer it well. Then there were questions like verbal, like English scene passage questions. There were 3 passage questions. It was really easy. Then there were little GK questions, only 1 or 2 questions. Then there were logo questions like Johnson Tiles and Google Photos. Then there were question in which they shown a picture of a scene from a movie, and we had to identify that movie. So I'm not a big fan of movies, but still I wrote it. I chose the option. I guess it was the correct one. So yeah. Then there was this question. They gave a quote quoted by a architect, and we had to identify the architect. There were 3 questions like that. Yeah, it was there were in that question, and they asked the options were Henry M or Henry S or like that. So but it still was
confusing.
Yes, sir, it was confusing, but still I could write choose the option. So yes.
Okay, great. That's quite a detailed analysis of the paper itself. Moving on to Dhanush. Dhanush, how was it with respect to your expectations? How did it go? What do you think?
So for me, the exam was really great. I didn't expect this much. It will be simple. Because I practiced a lot of question, different type of question I practiced from the material provided by the institute. Yesterday I itself practiced I think almost all the book of the numerical. I practiced all questions from all of them. So the numerical was it was pretty easy for me. Like all the formulas were familiar with me. The questions like and physics questions were also asked, like force, velocity, and also time questions were also asked. Um, Numericals were quite easy. It was answerable. It was a basic formula we needed only to answer this. And moving on to English section, we got 5 passages, and 5 passages were very simple. We can get the answers by the line itself. I think 2 times reading will be enough for answering that questions. It was simple.
Okay.
Next we I got question from color wheel. Color wheel, they shown a painting and asked which color scheme it is. I think it's analogous. Like they were full of analogous color scheme. So that was the answer. And next is GK. Like GK was a little bit tough for me. Like I was not familiar with that, so it was a little bit. But then also some questions were which were taught in our live sections, in offline sections. They asked like Rashtrapati Bhavan's former garden name, that is Mughal garden, that were asked.
Okay.
Also,
Okay. Okay.
next is the movie, like they shown a picture of a train moving in a bridge. So I think that's a Harry Potter. In my memory, I don't know that. Like I guessed it. Like it was a scenario from Harry Potter, I think.
Okay.
Next is design, like principles of design. They shown a picture of a hotel and asked which of what are the components, what are the construction materials in that, and also some painting. Who is the artist for that painting? Also, they asked it. And next is some question from elevation, and also the shadow questions were also asked. They given us a light source and asked us where will the shadow will fall on, and some elevation questions which were exactly same which I got from the mock test. That was very much I was very happy for that. Same question. I think 2 or 3 questions were exactly same. So I can just answer by seeing that options also. And there were some pattern questions that was easy, that was familiar. Like I think in JE when I was preparing that questions where I practiced. And hierarchy question were also asked in that. And blood relation was easy. Like we can just by drawing the pedigree analysis, we can answer that questions. And also next, I think almost the exam was it was pretty easy for me. I it was
Okay.
I expect a good mark.
Okay, that's great. I think most of the students whom we had talked to previously after the exam in the centers also were saying that it was quite easy. The same sort of consistency is what we can see here also. Let's move to Vaishnavi. Vaishnavi, how was your experience compared to the expectations that you had?
For me, the exam was quite nice, sir. Actually, it was quite easy. The English part, the comprehensive passages, they were also easy. We were able to find the answers just by reading the passages. And moving on to principles of composition, those questions were also easy. And there were questions like we must identify the painter just by seeing his self-portrait and that kind of question. And there were questions like identify the architect by seeing the plan of the buildings that he created, that he designed. And there were questions like that. And the memory-based questions were also so easy to attend. And the whole questions were actually easy.
Okay, I think that's quite sort of consistency in these question papers in both session 1 and session 2. Let's talk about the special things. Let's talk about things that have changed. One question which I haven't got answered is: were there any sort of preferential type questions? Any of you got that, wherein you get different marks if you're choosing different answers? Any sort of questions you saw in the paper? No.
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Okay, probably they might not have included. Okay, everyone had the option of calculator, a very simple calculator they had given to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It was
sir.
very much.
Okay, how was it, Dhanush? Like that solved a lot of problems in arithmetic, even though it
Yes,
was not
sir.
a complex calculator.
As the calculator was provided, it was very much easy. Like time saving was. as they have provided only one rough sheet, like one A4 size sheet only. So the calculations were pretty much easy with the use of calculator.
Okay, that's great. And was there any special mention regarding the negative marks? Like, had they told that there won't be any negative marks in the instructions?
No, sir.
Dhanush?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, moving on to one of the questions which I found quite interesting this time. I'd like to see your views on that, because I think memory-based questions we were all expecting for 30 seconds, right? But it was not just that the amount of time that was given was higher. I think even the images were easier, right? So, Nupura, how was it? How was it for you? How was the memory-based questions altogether?
It was easy, sir. It was easy at first. Like when I entered to section B, like the observation section, at first, like they showed a picture of a parrot with like different patterns, made with different patterns. So they asked like they showed a picture of a pattern, and they asked us how many of them were repeating, like this pattern, this specific pattern, how many times they were repeating, like that. So it was pretty easy. The observation
Okay.
section was.
Okay. And Dhanush, I also heard that the images were also quite sort of easy or predictable. We could look at the images and we could predict the kind of questions that they could have asked. So how was the memory-based questions for you?
Yes, like in the mock test also we have given practice of different type of observation questions. So by that I was familiar how to approach that question. Like when the timer starts clicking, I will write all the elements like in a shorthand type. So I can predict which will come, which will not come. So it was easy. Like number of people wearing hat, or how many. There was a question like how many dogs were wearing collars. Like that was simple. It was easy.
Okay. And Vaishnavi, regarding the memory-based questions, how was your experience? Like, what was your strategy? Probably writing it down, or some of them also go and start scribbling that drawing also. So, what was your strategy, and how was it for you?
Actually, I tried both of them. I tried sketching it and I tried noting the elements down. Actually, the images were easy to be noted down and the questions were predictable too.
Okay. So I guess this time again, memory-based questions is not the one that's becoming the nightmare. In fact, I think none of the questions have become that big nightmare. I also understand that there were logo-based questions. So Johnson Tiles logo-based logo question, Google Photos logo questions, and also I guess to everyone who's preparing for Nata 2 and 3, it's a very typical type of question that they usually ask. So you could also prepare in the parallel lines. Sundar says it was easy for me. Aptitude was a little tough, not so much, but still okay. The aptitude seems to be the one that is relatively a little bit more tougher. Okay. Before we go, finally, a couple of more questions. So the first one is on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the easiest. How would you rate it? Vaishnavi, this particular question paper on a scale of 0 to 10.
I'll say an 8.
8. Okay. Dhanush, how about you?
So 9.
9. Okay. How about you, Nupra?
Sir, 8.
8. Okay. So I guess it was always on the easier side for most of you. I think based scene, right? The movie-based scene was shown, and you had to identify which movie that was. So probably that was one of the new entrants, and probably for people like who are a movie buff, it will be easier. Probably for people like Nupra, it would be a bit difficult. So just keep that in mind when you're going to write the next exam. Last question about this year's Nata. So, what would be your takeaways? Like, if you're going to prepare for this Nata again, or if you're going to prepare for Nata 2, what would be your takeaways? I'll start with Vaishnavi. So, what were the things you would have done differently? Yes, Vaishnavi.
I would have tried focusing on the arc awareness part a bit more because as I was preparing for JE, I missed some classes from arc awareness. So I think I should prepare more on that.
Okay. So arc awareness has good amount of importance. I think that's also a good amount of weightage. It had good amount of weightage in this Nata, right? Okay. Dhanush, how about you? What would be your takeaway from this Nata?
So for me also the arc awareness, like in the Roman or Greece architecture and the temple design and the plan, the technical terms are like confusing for me. So I should work on that more.
Okay, that's great. Again, on the same lines. Nupra, what do you think? What is your learnings from first Nata?
So I guess I have to work a little bit more on numericals. Like I have to do a lot of practice and exercise in that, I guess. Like since I'm a crash course batch at like I only got like 18 days of coaching and exercises. So I have to like practice in that like numerical section a little bit more.
Okay. I think that's great takeaways. Numericals and arc awareness is what you all would want to focus on. To everyone who is watching who hasn't written Nata 1, you could go through the session, you could prepare accordingly. We would be coming up with a question paper analysis also shortly. So please stay tuned, everyone. If you have any further questions to everyone who is watching, please do not hesitate to post it below this comment box. And a big shout out and a big thank you to all three of you who have come back even after the exams. I know it would have been a very hectic day. I'm assuming you might have you are desperately wanting to sleep, and also I do understand. Thank you, Dhanush. Thank you, Vaishnavi. Thank you, Nupra.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Okay, I think there's a question, MZ Khan, how much should we score to get a good college? I think that's a very tough question. Primarily, Nata does not have a separate counseling. Nata combines its counseling with the Nata score and corresponding states. So that basically varies. We'll have to see Nata 1 where everybody is going to reach, what's the topper score and things like that. But by the looks of it, from what I understand and what students are saying, I think it's going to be a bit higher because all of them have categorically mentioned that the exam has been easier. So let's see, MZ Khan, I hope you got the answer. Let's see how the results come up. I think the results are due within a week, right? So let's see how the results come up and then we'll decide accordingly. Okay, so I guess I've answered most of the other questions also, which is being put up in the live. Okay, now it's time for results. Before that, it's time to relax. So yeah, obviously, so you can all relax, take your time. Okay. So to all the three champions, thank you for joining in, and also thank you, host. That's it from Suraj and THiNC Institute of Design. Until we see you in the next session, thank you.